And they might be saying, oh, look, don't do it because they're trying to protect you. Or they might be saying, don't do it because they're just jealous.
So the big question is this: how are investors like us, who weren't born with a silver spoon, successfully investing in property to create a passive income and still have a lifestyle now? That is the question. This podcast will give you the answers. I'm George Markowski and welcome to the Positive Property Show. Our mission is to empower 10,000 people to create financial freedom through property using the Markowski method. Join us.
First of all, we want to thank George Markowski for throwing us into the deep end. He's on a conference today until Monday, and he's unavailable non-stop. And he asked us nicely, kind of last minute, to do the live. We've got the lovely Charmaine.
That's right.
Positive Property. Hello, Charmaine.
Hey.
Now, you're in Melbourne. I'm on Bribie Island at the moment. And we're going to be taking on the question of how to deal with naysayers.
That's right. The naysayers in our lives. Who are the people in our lives that are constantly in our ear about what we can and can't do in life, and perhaps maybe, stopping you from taking that initial step and doing something that you really deeply desire and want to do?
Absolutely. Now, to coin the term of actually naysayers, if we've got any Arnold Schwarzenegger fans in the audience watching tonight, look, he actually coined it, because if you've seen any of his live speeches, he talks about the fact that his whole life he's done nothing but deal with naysayers. And it started from being a young little Austrian boy saying that he wanted to be the biggest bodybuilder and the best, most famous bodybuilder in the world. He had people turning around in their little lederhosens and their little overalls saying, no, you should be whistling on mountains and herding goats. And he said, no, I'm going to make it happen. Then he wanted to be the biggest, American movie star. Everyone told him, no, he couldn't. That's a naysayer, saying that because of his accent, he couldn't do it. Then he wanted to run for governor. Hello. Everyone told him, absolutely not. So, the whole idea of naysayers, we've all got them in our life. You don't realize. And sometimes they're your closest friends. Look, when I first got involved in property, when I was buying my first investment property, I had so many people going, oh my God, why are you doing that? You're going to lose money. The market's going to crash. And I pretty much just turned around and said, wow, how many properties do you own to have that feedback? And they'd go, oh no, I've just heard it from a friend of a friend, So,
or I saw it on the news, so it must be real.
Hey, look, if we listen to the news guys, sensationalism, they've been telling us that the property market's going to crash. They've been saying it for 10 years, guys, 10 years. Right. They also said that through COVID, that the whole market was going to crash and you should get all your money out of the banks. And what's the market done since COVID? Oh, it's only gone up 30%. So, look, how do we deal with naysayers? How do we deal with them? And what I mean by that is, look, you don't want to tell them to F off,
Or you F off with love.
So you've got to realise they come from two scenarios. They might be jealous, or they might just really care about you. And they might be saying, oh, look, don't do it because they're trying to protect you. Or they might be saying, don't do it because they're just jealous. One of the two, all right? So how do we deal with naysayers? So usually if someone tells me not to do something, I just ask them, what is your experience? Why do you say that? Please let me in on your world as to why you've made that decision and why you're telling me that decision. The other thing also I say as well is, where did you get your education? Where did you get your research to make those kind of those opinions? Because look, realistically, what they say about opinions, they're like something else. Everyone's got one. And they all stink. So the reality is, how do we deal with these people? So Charmaine, I'm going to throw it back to you. How do we deal with naysayers?
Obviously for me personally, when I'm dealing with a naysayer, obviously most people that are in my world right now, they're naysayers because they care about me, not so much jealousy. So I just ask them, well, what is supporting that? And I guess for me personally, I've come to a place where unless you're an expert, unless you have the results that I'm looking to model from and achieve, I'll allow you to have your say, but I'm not going to take it on board, because unless they have the runs on the board, the ones that you want to be listening to are the ones that do have the evidence, that are walking their talk, because if they can do it, then so can you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Being a property group as well, you know, like we get a lot of couples wanting to do the program, but sometimes what we find is maybe the wife's driving it and the husband's not really interested, or the husband's driving it and the wife's not really interested. You know, I've seen this happen, and look, sometimes it can take almost a year to 2 years for that other partner to finally come around. But the challenge there is they've just lost 2 years of sitting on the sidelines, you know?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like, so if you're out there and you're watching this video and you really want to get involved in property or anything in your life, it doesn't have to be property. Let's keep this pretty general. How do you deal with trying to get your partner over the line?
Yeah,
You know?
it's really about getting you and your partner on the same page. And if you really respect the relationship and really love your partner, you know, the key to getting on the same page really is being able to have those healthy, consistent communication, that healthy, open communication where you can share thoughts. And the main thing with sharing thoughts is making sure that both of you respect each other enough to be open enough to listen to each other's thoughts, even if they're opposing, you know, each other in what you want to create.
What's really important is to really make sure that you have the same values and you align yourself with similar values, because if you don't have the same values, it doesn't matter whether you want to get involved in property or you want to go on holiday or you want to buy something or, you know, do anything in their life. If you're going to have conflicting values, the reality is you've got to sit down and have that talk, and you've got to have that communication, because really what it comes down to is if you don't have those similar values, it might not be the right relationship for you.
Well, correct. All the way of looking at
that might sound a bit harsh out there, ladies and gentlemen, but what I'm saying is, you know, you've got to have the conversation. You know,
that's right. I mean, for most couples, most individuals don't even know what their own values are. So step one is getting clear with what your values are, sharing your values with your partner. And look, in the ideal world, if you and your partners have the same values, then yes, you're going to move mountains, you're going to reach your goals, it's going to be amazing. But if you don't, it's okay, because, you know, that means that you're aware of each other's values, and you can start to think about, well, you know, how can we strategically what strategies can we have around our opposing thoughts, our opposing values, so that we can still live a really great life together, knowing that we have these opposing values or these opposing goals, but we have little strategies in place so that we can really support each other to grow in the areas of life, whether it be wealth creation through property, whether it be, you know, self-development, personal development, whatever that might be.
Education. Absolutely. We just had a question come in. How did Arnie overcome naysayers? Positive mindset. Absolutely. He ignored them, and he kept focused. He was motivated. He did his own research. He became the expert, absolute expert. Because when you think of the best bodybuilders in the world, who do you think of straight away? It's Arnold.
Mm.
He
That's
got there from persistence. He got there from, you know, going against the grain. He did the research. He did everything that he needed to do, because, you know, I think maybe he even had pretty much that mindset when he wanted to prove everyone wrong, you know.
He had the education, and, you know, through the education, learning from people that have the results that he was looking to achieve, it only makes that journey, or that gap between where he is now and the goal that he wants to be, so much more easier and achievable, because he's got the right people around him and he's dedicated to that hard work to get to where he wants to go.
Absolutely. And I mean, George has even talked about this in some of his lives. You know, there's no straight road to success. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. And the whole idea that if you sit there and spend a certain amount of time every day for up to 5 years, you're going to become an expert, you know. And I think that sometimes you can get caught up in people having their opinions and saying, oh, yeah, that's not going to work, or no, you shouldn't do that. You know, unless they've got the education in the background, it's probably best to just go, oh, look, thank you for your opinion, and then just kind of, you know, brush it away.
That's right. And keep going towards the goal that you're looking to achieve.
Look, for me personally, there was a few circles of friends when I first got involved in property. You know, I talked to them about it and they were just so anti about it. So, look, I just possibly didn't hang out with those people for a while. It's not that I didn't want to be friends, but I just really focused on what I wanted to do, my growth, things. And then I finally came back into different circles. And the reality was, you know, one of the first questions was like, how did you go with your first investment? And I'm like, well, I'm actually on my third now, you know, and how's that working? It's actually going really well. The funny thing enough is some of those people have actually turned around to me and said, well, actually, now that you're doing it, I'd love to know more.
When you're wanting to create something in your life, when you have a goal in mind, sometimes you do need to kind of distance yourself away from some of the people at other naysayers. But a pivotal part of that as well is creating your support network, creating a tribe or a community or a network around you of like-minded individuals that are on the same path as yourself, or and so forth, where you can really help, you know, push each other up and support each other to keep moving forward towards your goals. I mean, you know, for me personally, when, you know, I started with, you know, as a property investor myself, I mean, we purchased our first property through COVID, and everyone was out of the woodworks. Don't buy. It's not a good time.
Correct.
You're in Melbourne, look at all the lockdowns. You won't get tenants because no one can pay their rent. And everyone was having these little opinions. And the first person I went to was yourself, because, you know, you're my coach, and also to the Positive Property Tribe of, you know, like-minded investors on the same path. And they're all like reiterating to me, no, Charmaine, you can do it. It is a good time to buy. You're going to be fine. You know, we've got the strategy in place. We've got the process. You've got, you know, support around you. You know, interest rates are low. You know, great time. Look, we got our first investment property during COVID, positively geared $128 a week. We got tenants in within the first 5 days of settlement. So if I had listened to those naysayers, I wouldn't have the property that I am now. And on top of that, if I didn't have the support group, the network, the tribe of the like-minded, you know, investors around me that kept saying, no, it's okay, keep going, you've got this. Now, don't listen to them, just keep moving forward. I mean, that really helped me to really overcome my own self-doubt. George always talks about, you know, being comfortable, you know, being uncomfortable. When we're uncomfortable, we're in a space of growth, you know.
That's right.
Something else George says, it's like choose your hard. You know, it's hard to stay where you are, but it's also hard to change and make a difference.
And you've got to choose your hard. You've really got to choose
right.
it. So naysayers, what else do we have to say about naysayers? I don't want to look at the negative side. I want to look at the positive side. So I could definitely go on a bit of a rant on the negative side, but, you know, I want to keep it lighthearted for a Thursday night.
Yeah. I mean, the positive side is that, you know, people that are the naysayers, like Belinda said earlier, generally the people that care about you the most, family, you know, your friends around you. And in one sense, it's really nice that they care so much about you that they need to voice their concerns and voice their fears towards you. So, you know, on one side of the coin, it's really nice to really understand that. When you do, it means that you're not being triggered as much. I used to get really triggered by people that were naysayers. I'd get really upset, and I'd be like, you know, who are they to tell me what I can and can't do? You know, and I used to get a little upset and get really triggered, and I had to change my mindset and get really clear and really understand the motivation and intention behind it. And a lot of the time, it's just because they cared.
The little takeaway from this little live chat regarding our topic being how to deal with naysayers, every time you get people that tell you are a naysayer, maybe being a bit negative or telling you you can't or you shouldn't do that, what you've got to do is kind of project it back with the idea that they're coming from a position of peace. They're not probably showing it in the nicest possible way, but deep down. Now, even if they are jealous, who cares? Fake it until you make it, right? But you can spin it around mentally and think, wow, they really must care about me.
Yeah.
So thank them, you know, thank them for, you know, showing that concern. Thank you for caring about them. And just because I've had naysayers in my life doesn't mean I write them off. You know,
No.
I reckon my first naysayers were probably my mum and dad. Hello. They started the ball rolling by saying, no, you can't do this and no, you can't do that. But do we write them off? Absolutely not. What were they doing? Deep down, they were just caring, even though, you know, I was sitting in my bedroom thinking, you know, I want to run away from home. Hello. I was thinking, I need new parents. Can I trade these in? They're telling me too many no's. But, you know, we used to have this lovely training session when we were in the motor industry. We used to say, you know, what is a no? And it was N-O. But if you put a K and a W, it's actually, I don't know enough to say yes.
And
that's where the negotiation started. Let's give them reasons to say yes.
And that's a really good point too, because a lot of the naysayers are only coming from a place of lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding as well, and they don't know. And because what you're attempting to do creates a bit of a fear within them of the unknown for themselves in that arena or that theme of life that you're wanting to reach that or pivot to the next level, you know, it can create that where and it's all it is just their own fears and concerns around a topic or an area or something you're wanting to do that they just don't necessarily know enough knowledge and information.
So have we got any other questions? So I suppose this is question time. Usually Georgie's here, but obviously we've taken over the Facebook Live tonight. We're taken over with our own little thing. If we've got any questions, by all means. Now, it doesn't have to be about naysayers. It can be about anything. This is the Australian Positive Property Group Chat by George Markowski. He's not here, but however, you know, look, I know the industry, both Charmaine and I know the industry pretty well. We know George's stuff pretty well. So if you've got any questions, it can be about naysayers. It can be about your own experience that you might want to share.
Question here, how do we get started in property investing?
Ooh, let's start with getting you an education, because, you know, I mean, look, it's like anything, you know, if you're interested in anything, food, you know, a topic, get the education thing happening, you know. And look, I mean, for us personally, for me, if someone came up and said, Belinda, I want to know more about, you know, positive gearing, investing through property, I would actually say do our online, you know, workshop, our online masterclass, our 14-day challenge. Really, you know, inexpensive on a scale of things, but got so much value. So I really think they're priceless. It's our 14-day challenge, and obviously it goes for 14 days. Hence that. And what you do is you get a little snippet of, you know, George doing videos and talking content about all the steps that we go through as a roadmap in regards to helping people, coach them to create their own blueprint. And then it comes back to my idea that if you don't have a blueprint, well, you're like a boat with no rudder. You really need the direction. And to get that direction, you need education. Yes, we do have a 14-day challenge or a masterclass where you can go and learn from the experts. And the expert is George. He's, you know, he's got years of experience, and he's created this amazing program where you can do it in the privacy of your own home. It's not like you have to jump on a bus and go to a TAFE or a university and sit there all day. You can do it in the privacy of your own home on a computer, and you can actually learn.
Right. I think what I love most about the Freedom Through Property, you know, masterclass 14-day challenge is that it takes you through the various steps in property investing where you need to have a clear strategy and you're creating an action plan. So when you get to the end of the 14 days, you're going to be in one of two positions. You're either going to be position one where you're investor ready. You now have your own strategy and action plan that you can implement straight away. And if you're not investor ready, you know exactly where the gaps are, what steps you need to take to get yourself investor ready. I think we can tick every box on our company's values. You know, with our values here at Positive Property, the heart acronym, we've got H to have fun. Well, Belinda, I've absolutely had a blast with you. The E, everybody wins.
Thank you, darling.
Today, we overcame, you know, all obstacles when it came to our technological difficulties. And authentic. I get more authentic and real than this. Our radical responsibility, even though we couldn't get our Zoom to work, we couldn't get one stream. We got it happening here today live with you all. And then I think we're both very grateful that we actually got on live today.
Yeah, I know. Look, I always say, and everybody knows me, like technical scenarios are not my best at all. Like I'm not a computer person. I'm not into technical things, but boy, oh boy, it was quite the challenge. But look, I look forward. The good thing is next time we do it, hopefully George will give us some training. So we'll be much better equipped. And, you know, we'll definitely be able to get it through all our streams and all of our groups and, you know, get more of an outreach for what we're doing.
It's a nice feeling, you know, to sit here and talk and share our experiences, but to also receive your comments and experiences as well. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, look, if you know, one thing I'd probably recommend you doing after this, just to really get that understanding of naysayers, just Google Arnold Schwarzenegger and his naysayer speech. It is absolutely fantastic. I had the opportunity to see him live in Melbourne. I met him through George. And, you know, the reality was, you know, he was told, when he talks about his speech, seriously, I got goosebumps because I've never heard of someone just talk so strongly and just so in his zone. He was absolutely amazing. And to think about all the things that he's achieved, you know, from this little guy in Austria to being, you know, one of the most world famous people, you know, it's pretty amazing the stuff that he's achieved. And his speech is just next level. And I think that when you watch that speech, it will really resonate in you in regards to achieving your goals and making things happen. So with all that said, I think we're going to call it a night.
Yeah.
I think I've got coaching calls tonight. So usually George does this, so I can sneak off a bit earlier so I can get ready for my coaching calls. Guys, everyone that's been involved in our live, thank you so much. We appreciate you being involved in this little livey live. And yeah, hopefully now you've got that beautiful background of knowing how to deal with people who are naysayers, and you can use it. Oh, someone's just put Arnold's speech. So by all means, if you're looking to get pumped up, and I'm not talking muscle pumped up, like pumping iron,
talking
mindset. Mentally, mindset. The video's there for our group. Please watch it. We'd love to, you know, get in there and get motivated. And guys, we look forward to seeing you next Thursday for our live, our freedom fighters, our positive property tribe. We look forward to seeing you next week. You have a good night, guys. Ciao, ciao. Until next week, have a fantastic week.
Thank you for listening. I'm grateful for all our listeners around the world. If you found this podcast valuable, please share with someone that might find this useful, and please join our tribe of purpose-driven investors, increasing income and impact in our Facebook group, Positive Property. Please note, with a multi-million-dollar property portfolio and a passive income, I've become incredibly successful in investing in property. The fact of it is, however, many people may find investing in property challenging. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of hard work. However, becoming educated to make an informed decision and having the right advisors gives you the tools you need to succeed. The most important part of this formula, however, is to actually take action and apply that knowledge. It is important to understand that information I share is of a general nature only and is not taking into account your unique circumstances. If you're considering investing in any asset class, you need to seek the advice of an independent professional advisor who will be able to look at your specific situation. Be sure your advisor has actually achieved the kind of results you're seeking. Many won't have, so beware. We've taken great care putting those educational resources together. We'd be surprised if you didn't find any errors or omissions. If you do, our legal team says we have to say we're not responsible for those. In fact, as with all things, even your success, we're not responsible. That responsibility always has and always will come down to you and the actions you take. We're passionate about supporting you in that process and helping you increase your ability to create wealth, live the life you desire, and provide all the things you dream of for you and your family.